There we go. All right. So welcome everyone. So nice to see you. And if you're watching this afterwards, a really warm welcome to you at home. So we thought we would take a start by looking at the whole mission behind the pedagogy certificate. So our mission as instrumental teachers is that we have a real responsibility to provide our students with the tools to play the music of their choice with ease, comfort, and full expression. International data indicates the high rates of pain and injury amongst professional musicians. The TIL approach supports sustainable careers, providing musicians with the knowledge and physical tools to meet the demands of the profession. So our course is designed to give teachers an understanding of the TIL approach's basic pedagogy, fully adaptable to any teaching situation. So what's interesting about how all of this came about is that this pedagogy has emerged from the top down, which is very unusual. So what originally started to happen was that professional players years ago started to come for help because they had injuries or pain or just were feeling stuck with their playing. And in the process of those lessons, what started to come up repeatedly, I would ask a question, they would say, "Oh, I learned that when I was 8," or "I learned that when I was 10." And what I started to realize is that these patterns of movement are set in motion from a very young age. So I started to dive down into the other end of the spectrum. Luckily, we have a string project at the university where I teach, and it's been a wonderful lab where we've been able to sort of develop this pedagogy for children and for these early stages and really look at how we can set people up at any point in this way so we are avoiding these traditional routes that can get us so tangled up later on. So what we thought we would start with is it would be lovely if everyone could share what their teaching situation is. Because another unique feature of our pedagogy certificate is it is totally adaptable to what everyone is doing. It's not set up necessarily for a classroom, individuals. You can really use it anywhere. And we've had people in all kinds of different situations applying it. So it'd be lovely if you all just unmuted and shared what you're thinking about doing with it. So, Nisa, would you like to start us off?
Yes, I would. Also, if there is background noise, please let me know because I am in a cafe. I'm sort of like a wandering writer, scholar, I guess. I hate that word, but I get work done in cafes. So, yeah, I'm currently in a PhD program investigating auditory aphantasia in musicians. So basically neurodiversity in musicians. And what I envision the TIL project's approach to provide for me is teaching tools to sort of engage neurodiverse musical learners. Um, it's not quite set in stone, but I do have a former teaching background on violin and viola, so kind of reaching sort of the neurodiverse population in a sense. Could be group lessons. There may be a practice element also to the research I'm doing where I would just in conjunction with the neurodiverse research. I hope that was clear. It feels a little vague, but yeah.
Thank you, Nisa. That's great. It is clear. Yeah. Andrew, share with us what you're thinking.
Yeah, so for me, one second. For me, I would say the first reason is I'm working through a focal dystonia with Noracron, and so just kind of solidifying my understanding, my foundation of the whole approach to help myself first, but then for students, I notice a lot of especially beginners, if I start to apply some of these little tweaks that we've made, like it seems like their progress accelerates like weeks in like just a matter of a lesson, which is really cool. And then so I'm a guitar player and it's becoming more and more painfully obvious that there's very little good information on healthy playing for guitarists, and so I would like to be able to contribute in that way, to the guitar community.
That's wonderful. Andrew, we have this year in our current cohort We have a classical guitar player who is really developing this, so I can connect you up.
Also, it's Candace, right? I
It's
think
Candice.
Nora, yeah,
Yes.
Nora put
Yes.
in touch, so I'd like to
Oh,
talk to her.
good.
Yeah,
Okay. Great. Wonderful.
yeah, thank
Great.
you.
Sarah, jump on in.
Hi. So I'm Sarah. I'm not actually a teacher or really planning to teach. So my background is actually piano. I've been studying Topman on piano for the last couple of years, going through the retraining. And I learned bass on the side while I couldn't play piano. And I'm really just doing this for my own learning. Maybe I'll teach someday. I don't know. But yeah.
You're quite a bass player, Sarah.
Thank you.
Maho, welcome and jump on in. You've been doing tons of stuff since we last saw you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do I have to say? I have to tell you about my experience or why I would like to participate here.
Why you'd like to participate? Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, as probably many of you know, I suffer of musicians vocal dystonia, like Andrew. Hi, Andrew, by the way. And similar to him, I would like to contribute to our community, but uh, not just for our sorry, I I recently woke up 5 minutes ago, and it's difficult to change the language from Spanish. You know that I am a native speaker in Spanish, and change to English. It's a little difficult. Sorry for that. Um, and I would like to give my little thing of sound. I don't know how you normally say this in English, this phrase that we have in Spanish, um, to our students to don't be injured, to prevent this kind of lessons, and also in the if we can develop it in a beautiful and quiet environment, like is normally our environment in your classes, for example, Sophie. Yeah, something like that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Maho. Thank you. Your English is excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
So I'd like to continue on here with just providing an introduction and brief overview of the pedagogy certificate, and then we'll dive into more specifics. So first of all, what can you expect from the pedagogy certificate? If you are familiar with the TIL project, you have some sense of the quality of information that we strive to provide here, and that we do provide. I feel very strongly about that. So you will continue to experience that high quality information that you're used to. And if you haven't spent time with us before, you really have that to look forward to in this pedagogy certificate. You also will be working with faculty and mentors, Sophie, Alex, Sally, and I, who are actively studying and working with the TIL approach in our everyday professional lives. You're also going to experience, as we've said, as Sophie said, information that is fully adaptable to your situation. And we do really focus and provide guidance on using it in the situation that you are teaching in. And you will also have access to this wonderful community of TIL Project folks, both within the Pedagogy Certificate cohort that you would be a part of if you choose to do this, as well as the broader TIL Project community, which involves other folks who have done the Pedagogy Certificate in the past, as well as a community beyond that, who are part of the workshops and symposia, a really wonderful supportive group of folks. And then moving on to what is the end goal or the result of this pedagogy certificate. You will receive a certificate, a lovely, in our lovely lavender theme color, stating that you have completed the course. You'll also have the tools to teach basic principles of the TIL approach. Because of just limits on time, and we recognize everyone is in their own professional life, busy with a number of things. This is not an exhaustive training, but it does give you the basic skills to teach this to in whatever setting you are in. You will continue to have access to the TIL project community for support in ongoing pedagogical growth. So we have WhatsApp groups that you're welcome to jump into related specifically to this certificate, as well as the broader TIL project community. And so what I'd like to do next is show you actually an overview of the year plans. So Sophie's going to pull that up and share it. And we're going to take a look at some of the component parts of this, which we'll get into more detail here in just a moment. And I know it's rather small. This will be on the website as well. So you can zoom in then. So the certificate goes from July of 26 and concludes in May of 27. So essentially runs a little bit of an extended academic year. And I'm just going to talk through all of this here. So the summer symposium is where the certificate kicks off. There are in-person and online options for that summer symposium. It is July 13th to 18th this year. The next component listed here is one-on-one lessons, which are an integral part of our pedagogy certificate. You have lessons with the symposium, and then, as you can see here, 2 one-hour lessons a month throughout the rest of the certificate. The next component is Sunday seminars. So for September, October, November, and December, there are seminars on Sunday. We skipped January. If you look down the line there a little bit, there's a winter symposium, so we don't do a seminar that month. And then February, March, April. And then in May, there is a seminar that is presentations from the pedagogy certificate folks. Then we have lesson observation and mentoring, 4 of those throughout the year, winter weekend symposium, a couple of free events throughout the year, and everything is always recorded. So of course, encouraged to attend in person if you can, but you do have access beyond that. There is an observation component where you will observe TIL approach teachers. There's individual research, reflection. It's not extensive research beyond the resources that we supply for you. So we'll talk about that in a bit. And then there's a practical assessment at the end. So those are all the components. An effort has been made, as you can see here, to distribute the meetings and tasks throughout the year in a way that is balanced, manageable, and really beneficial for you. And we'll look more at the specific estimated time commitment a little bit later on.
So the certificate kicks off at the summer symposium, and as Stephanie said, this year the summer symposium runs from the 13th to the 18th of July, and this can be attended in person in the beautiful upstate New York area called Watkins Glen, or it can all be accessed online, and we're improving our tech setup all the time to make that online offer as effective as possible. And at the summer symposium you will receive a really thorough package of information which makes it possible to start the pedagogy certificate with actually very little TIL approach information and experience. So that really will give you the confidence to take on board all the beginner information and feel that you can use that throughout the course. At the summer symposium we have these sessions which really provide the spine of the symposium, which are the core principles session, and currently we offer 3 different levels. So levels 1 and 2 will address all the fundamentals of right and left arm technique, and then we have the level 3 where you can push into more advanced techniques and we can study the technical aspects in greater depth, and level 3 is for those who have already completed level 1 and 2. As well as those really important core principles sessions, we have the lessons, which Stephanie has already talked about, the lessons are really a fantastic chance to explore the till approach information according to your individual needs. There will also be a mini series throughout the week on the hero movement, which is rotation. And we will have another series that runs throughout the week, which is called Information in Action. And this is, I think Sophie describes it as a potpourri of sessions that will include problem solving in repertoire, it will include looking at orchestral excerpts, it will include a pedagogy session on double stops, and also an advanced pedagogy session which will help our students to unpick problem passages. We will also have a community day, which is a really lovely day, which means that we get to sort of escape from the intensity of hearing about really fantastic and pertinent information to string playing. And the community day gives us a chance to have panel discussions and masterclasses and to just look at the information from a completely different angle. And it can be a day where we can really support each other on on people's journeys, hear about other people's journeys, and really bring everybody's individual personalities to the symposium. The symposium will also have a pedagogy certificate orientation session, and each day we will hear about more of the nuts and bolts and the admin side of the course and how it will work, so that we can really embark on the year with a clarity and understand everything going forward. And from a personal level, this summer symposium really does provide food for thought for the whole year, and I almost felt like my playing just improves as I listen to the information as it sort of washes over me and as we get stuck in. And as Stephanie said, it's a great a chance to be part of our Till Project community, meeting like-minded people from so many backgrounds, whether they're students or amateurs, professionals or teachers, and people from across the globe. So it's a very special group to be part of. So that's our summer symposium while the sun's shining, and then we bring joy in winter in the month of January by having a winter symposium as well. And this is a Saturday and Sunday event, usually in January. We have 3 hours on each day, and we have a sort of formula which looks like this. We will have a masterclass session, which is fascinating to really see the information in action. This masterclass will then be supported by an in-depth analysis of what's happened in that masterclass and of the repertoire that was used. And then we will perhaps take a technical area of the Till approach and discuss that in detail, and we will often finish with a discussion. And this year that discussion was about practicing, something that we all know is absolutely vital to what we do. So that's the winter symposium, and then we like to throw in a couple of freebies throughout the year which allow us to access more people and draw more people in to share this information. And we tend to pick a topic for these freebie workshops and look at it from 4 different angles. That would be delivered by Sophie, Nora, Rachel and myself. And things that we've done in the past, we've done forearms, we've looked at thumbs, we've looked at wrists, we've looked at vibrato, and we've got one coming up in May this year, which is going to be all about dynamics. So that's that core part of the course, which is summer symposium, winter symposium, and our free sessions.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the one-on-one lessons and that personal development side of the pedagogy certificate, which is perhaps a little bit more unusual for something like this. But it's a really key aspect of our pedagogy certificate and a really important part of it. So what we expect is that you all have 2 one-on-one lessons per month. You are very welcome to have more, but having that level of personal development means you can take those topics that we're covering in the seminars and look at them more deeply, but actually just work on your own development of your own playing, which is so crucial to then putting it into teaching. So if you're already having lessons with a Till Project faculty member, you don't need to change anything. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to swap around or anything like that. And there are various teachers. So you've got Sophie and Sally and Stephanie who are here, and Nora as well. Like a couple of you have come through Nora anyway, so you'll know her. And as I said, it's all about developing that personal understanding and your own mastery of the principles of the TIL approach, which you then are able to call upon when you're communicating and demonstrating that to your students. And with all of this information, it is, it's about understanding it conceptually, but actually how we use it as well and how you feel it in your own body, which is why those lessons are such a key element of the certificate. So that's one-on-one lessons. And now we're going to have a little look at those Sunday seminars and what we're going to cover in them. So Sophie's going to bring up an image which has got all the different topics, and I'll just talk through the categories of them and how they fit together. So core principles is what Sally has already talked about being part of that summer symposium. So that's a really great way to kind of kick it off and get to know that information in detail at the level that is appropriate for you. There are also TIL approach videos, and that's part of that pre-seminar preparation is just to make sure you're in the zone for that information. And we'll send out little bits and pieces to kind of give you some of those basics so that in the seminars, we're really building on it from that pedagogical perspective. And as I just talked about, the individual lessons. So then if we have a look at this middle column, so we're talking about technique pedagogy, and these are all the different areas that we'll cover through those Sunday seminars. So that general body awareness, which is so key in building upon. With the left arm, we've got falling up and fundamental forearm rotation, holding the instrument, 4 axes in left arm gym, scanning fingers, fingerboard maps, playing fingers, the incremental steps, mapping, vibrato, early stage rotational technique. And some of those might already be familiar, and some of those you might be wondering what on earth they are, but that's why we have that core principles to start with, and then building up all this information through the seminars. And with our right arm, we've got holding mechanism, moving mechanism, walking hand in arm, and martelé, right arm gym, right arm shaping, friction equation, off the string strokes versus legato. So a really nice in-depth look at those basics of the TIL approach through technique. Then if we come over to the right, what's really important as part of the TIL approach is it's not just about a list of techniques, but actually how we use them, how we share them. So here we're talking about those principles of the learning and teaching environment. So the TIL approach teaching environment, what does that mean? What does that look like? Steering versus obedience, how things look versus how things work. The eyes are the window to the brain, and 5 main causes of tension, discomfort, and injury. And so all of that links with those different techniques and kind of brings that package together. And the last bit is curriculum. It's like the inaction bit that Sally talked about in terms of that winter symposium. And here we're talking about sequencing teaching and learning. So how we're taking that technique and putting it into lessons in real life and organizing it. Repertoire to support TIL approach technique. Stages of reading notation, and using the TIL approach in various environments, because as we've already heard, people are in lots of different situations with different age groups, etc., etc. So really making sure that you are all really comfortable in using that information in the different situations that you're in with your teaching. So that is a little overview of the content of all the seminars.
So I get to talk about the bit of the pedagogy certificate that really does bring an awful lot of pleasure, I think, on both sides of the screen. So from the mentee that you get to work with and for the mentor as well. So I'm going to talk about the lesson observations that we do of your teaching. And these will be submitted by video at 4 points during the year. We spread them out for balance, so we will have the first video is submitted in October, then 2 months later there'll be one in December, 2 months later in February, and 2 months later in April. And each of those videos has got a theme to it. So it's you'll have the guidance and the way to and a way to structure the teaching video with your student. And that can be a one-on-one lesson, it could be a group lesson, it can be whatever your teaching environment is. And I'd like to add that this year is the first year where our mentors have watched lessons in a foreign language, And Stephanie, has that been, you've been watching lessons in Spanish and you've been able to, using Google Translate, I think, work out what's going on, and you've been able to have
Absolutely.
successful discussions with that. So those lessons don't have to just be in English, which I think is fantastic. So what then happens, you submit the video and your mentor will watch the video, and then you will have an online session of about an hour to an hour and a half where you'll discuss the video together in a very friendly two-way very friendly two-way discussion, and it will give both parties a chance to reflect on the lesson, to explore solutions, to make plans for the future, and all sorts of things to do with that lesson. And those mentoring sessions are also a chance to have support from your mentor as with all the other aspects of the TIL project pedagogy certificate. So those other aspects will be, how are you getting on in your lessons? How are you finding writing up the symposiums? Is that going well? So that you're really in a place where you feel supported throughout the course to really achieve and to really get the best out of it. So those mentoring sessions, a personal favourite of mine, and a really lovely part of the course.
Let's take a little look at that, the observing TIL approach teachers, that component of the course. So we say it's 20 lessons, it's roughly 20 hours of observation. And we've tried to design this to be as flexible as possible so that everyone can make it work for their situation. So we have a pretty extensive online observation gallery of TIL approach teachers so that people can watch a wide variety of lessons in their own time. Some of those are following someone who's retraining from focal dystonia or from an injury. Some are with groups of children, one-on-one with children. There's a pretty wide range in there. So you can select what you're interested in and dive in when you're ready. We also have various in-person options, and you could really pick and mix this. So obviously I'm in Pennsylvania and in New York, and people can come and stay and have come and stayed, and they can stay for a week and watch lots of lessons, whether that's with students, professional players, or with the Children in String project. And Stephanie's up the road at North Pocono, so you could combine those two if you wanted to. Sally and Alex are very close together at In Harmony Liverpool. So you could spend time with them. And Sally's also at Cheatham's in the UK. So you could spend time with Sally there as well. So that would be a different type of population of student. Obviously, we've got Nora in New York and Rachel in Scotland. So you might want to reflect on what combination of this suits you and might be most pertinent for what you want to do with it. But it's very adaptable.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the individual preparation, research, and reflection. And as Stephanie said, when we're talking about research, this is incredibly light touch research. So as you saw from that last slide that I showed you with all the different topics, and we're cramming all these things into these 3 hours on a Sunday, that we're talking about quite a lot of information and trying to process all of that, even if some of it's familiar, we know can feel pretty overwhelming, but it's all fascinating and it all links together. So what we do is before every seminar, a couple of weeks before, we'll send out a seminar document, which is like a preparation and reflection research document, where we're just going to ask you a few kind of little questions to get your brain into gear for that topic and think about how it relates to your own experience that you've already had. And then also think about the teaching you're doing and how that might relate, along with perhaps a little clip or a little selection of videos just to remind you of the key fundamentals of that topic. So you can kind of come in primed. Also, it's really helpful for us to be able to personalize that seminar because we can really respond to what you know about that information and how you expect or to use it. Or, it might be that this particular topic is one that you feel really perhaps a little bit anxious about teaching, and then we can really make sure that we're covering it in a way that is going to be really helpful. So you'll get that, before every single seminar. And Stephanie is also going to talk in a little bit about how much we anticipate that monthly workload being, so you can kind of see how that will fit in. And the whole purpose of the prep, research and reflection is just designed to maximize the effectiveness of those seminars and help you retain that information rather than add to the workload. So they're not big, long documents. They're just there to kind of really get us into the zone for that particular seminar. And then the other thing I'm going to talk about is the e-portfolio. So this is about bringing all of this information, all of those sessions and all of your learning through the year into one place. So you've got somewhere you can go and reflect back on what you've kind of learned so far. And when you get to the end, you've got this amazing document covering all of that work that you've done. So it includes written reflections from the seminars. You can use a combination of other media, photos, audio, video recordings. So you can use the way in which works for you in terms of taking notes, recording notes, and uploading it straight to that portfolio. Completing that is a requirement of the pedagogy certificate, along with a couple of other elements. And what we'll do is we set it all up for you, and it's got all the templates in there, and then you can personalize that. You can design it how you like it. So if you are somebody who likes to get into that design element of things, then you can go completely to town. If it's just about, keeping it nice and simple and efficient, then it's all there set up for you. So we use Google Drive, we use Google Sites and YouTube, and exactly what you need to have set up in terms of that will be part of that course preparation a bit nearer the starting to date. And how we use all of that is part of that pedagogy certificate orientation that Sally talked about at this summer symposium. So that is the e-portfolio.
We have a practical assessment component at the end of the course so that participants can demonstrate their knowledge of the different aspects of the information in their own playing and to show how the information is experienced in their own body. We actually help each participant craft this in ways that are most suitable for each person. So you can have your own version, but it will also draw on a certain checklist of things that have been taken from the seminars. And that means that these assessments can look really different depending on who's doing it. So for someone who's doing the pedagogy certificate but might have a lot of experience with this information prior to that, their assessment might look one way. And for someone who's coming to the pedagogy certificate and the information for the first time, their practical assessment will look very different. So like all the aspects of this certificate program, it's really personalized to each participant and will serve you and your needs.
So, as Alex mentioned, we're going to talk about the monthly estimated time commitment here because you've seen lots of lists and heard about all these different components. I'm sure it can sound kind of overwhelming. So, drilling down to what realistically will this look like for you? Each month will be slightly different, but we've made an effort to distribute events and tasks as evenly as possible across that time. A typical month will have 2 one-hour individual lessons for you, 1 3-hour seminar, and either a video mentoring session or a free TIL project workshop event. And so all that together is about 6 to 7 hours in a month. Observing TIL approach teachers, which Sophie was talking about, that 20 lessons. If you're doing primarily the online gallery of 2 per month, it looks that way. If you are to try to do some in-person where you're spending an extended period of time in Pennsylvania or somewhere in the UK, then of course that will look different. So that's kind of the wild card there, depending on how you would approach that. Alex described the individual review, reflection, and research that will be part of preparing for and integrating the information from the seminars. Our goal is that that fits into about 2 hours of time each month for you. And I would say that that has been true over the 2 years that we've been doing this so far, as far as what we've heard from folks that does. So the total estimated active time commitment is about 8 to 10 hours per month, plus however you choose to do that, observing till approach teachers. The goal and design is that this work becomes a part of your teaching. So you likely will spend much more time actually contemplating and experimenting and thinking about it than that active time. Probably more time than you even realize as it becomes integrated into what you're doing. And that is the purpose of it. That is how this is intended to function. While any participant is strongly encouraged to attend online events live, all sessions are recorded, as I mentioned earlier. So if you have a professional commitment or a kid gets sick or something and you cannot be there, that is still available to you that way. And Sophie, do you have the fee breakdown available to show? Okay, so let's talk about the fees then, because of course this is an important component of this for everyone. So the total with the in-person summer symposium is $4,500. This is all in US dollars. The total with the online summer symposium is $4,050. That's everything all in. The difference is because with the in-person, there's fee for meals and such. So that's what the difference is there. So let's break it down a little bit. The summer symposium is $1,300 in person or $850 online. The winter symposium is $200 for that weekend of 4 sessions. 16 lessons at $100 per lesson, $1,600. And we then kind of group together the seminar, mentoring, and observation component at $1,400. So the fees are spread throughout the year. This is not something that anyone is expected to pay in one chunk right away. So registration is requested by May 1st, 2026. If you are trying to figure out the financial component and need a little wiggle room with that, please reach out. We have been able to work with folks in the past to give some time there. But requested by May 1st if possible. $700 deposit is due by May 20th. And we wanted to point out that this is not a membership fee that is recurring year to year. We know some programs are structured like that, where you might do training every year or you just have a membership maintenance fee. But this number here is a one-time payment schedule for the components of this course that you have heard about today. And then the summer symposium, winter symposium, lessons component, that is all just due at the time of that event. So you will register as normal for those events and pay as you normally would for a TIL project event there. While we can't offer financial aid, we can offer real life situation help. We had someone in the program 2 years ago when all the wildfires were going on in LA, and we of course worked with that person because things were very, very disrupted in that area. So we can help with real life situations should they arise. If you have concerns about the fees, please reach out to Sophie. She's happy to have a conversation with folks about that. So we have just about reached the end of our time here, but I think maybe the most exciting thing is we have a guest from this year's Pedagogy Certificate cohort, Jordan, who we've invited to just share a little bit about the experience.
Hello everyone, it's lovely to see you all here and to see some familiar faces from Nora's Dystonia group as well. Hello. So I'm a viola player based in London, and I just thought I'd share a bit about my journey with the TIL approach and my experiences on PedCert this year. So I didn't actually know anything about the TIL approach until about 11 months ago, and it was April last year that I sent an email to one of the team because I've got musician's vocal dystonia and I just needed some help. Nothing that I had tried was working. And I had my first lesson, and I think we used the backpack to do to mimic the holding mechanism of the viola. And a few days later, I realised that I had shared a lot of this information, just like you were mentioning, Andrew. I'd shared a lot of this information with my students. And the following week, the same thing happened. And as this process continued, I realised that kind of in the approach to the summer that year, my explanations were becoming a bit more concise. I felt like I was giving much clearer guidance in my teaching, and the students were really responding to it. You know, it's really logical from a physical point of view, and they were just picking it up so quickly and responding really well. And I just felt that I was giving out better information. As Sophie mentioned in her introduction, you know, we look back on our own experiences from what we've learned, and I realised that perhaps there were some pitfalls with the information that I had received, either as a child or in my undergraduate or my master's, and I knew that with certain exercises and different bits of information that I was passing these on to my students, and as I have an injury at the moment, I really wouldn't want to pass on any information that might cause a problem to someone in the future. So at that point, it became clear to me that the PedCert would be a really good next step. Now, on a side note, looking at this information from like my individual lessons and my own playing, and from the teaching point of view, has really helped me kind of process and internalize a lot of these ideas more quickly than if I would just had one vantage point. So if you're kind of potentially in a similar situation to me, I would really recommend having both vantage points. So when we began last year, I kind of initially thought the PedCert would help me improve the way I teach a few bits of technique, but it has given me so much more than that. I feel like in the space of 10 months so far it's been, I've had like a total overhaul of myself as a teacher and as a player. It's been extremely useful to look at so many different aspects, whether that's sort of how do we create a nurturing environment for our students, looking at and analysing my own individual teaching manner, even down to like what vocabulary I might use or not use to teach a certain topic, as well as all the great information for the left side, the right side, and the body. My own sort of teaching varies from 5-year-old beginners to students in their early 20s, but I genuinely use this information in every single lesson, every single week. It doesn't matter what age or ability I have in front of me. For the beginners, we're sort of packaging information and good habits in games, repertoire, and activities, and I just find this so exciting and such a gift to give young students this information, and hopefully they'll continue with it for the rest of their playing lives. And then for kind of our intermediate and advanced students, we're always going to have to rehabilitate some element of their technique, and the PedCert's given me so many more tools to kind of deal with this aspect. And it's also given me a huge awareness to identify lots of things that perhaps weren't obvious to me in, you know, the first 16 years of my teaching career. So it's been quite revolutionary for me. A lot of us come to the till approach and we're attracted to it because of the physical logic and the physicality, and that's such a huge element of it. But what I'm kind of starting to notice now, further down the line, is the artistic results that we're seeing with some of my students. And we had a lovely in-depth seminar on the use of the right arm a couple of weeks ago, looking at different ideas that you probably saw in the slides, sort of friction equation, right arm shaping, experimenting with string tension and lots of different things. And it's brought so many teaching nuggets to the surface. And as well as helping my students find comfort, it's really helping them find their individual voice on the instrument, which is the essential end game for any teacher. So going back to kind of when we started the PedCert, I was a little bit apprehensive about if I'd be able to fit this into my schedule. You know, during the semester, I'm kind of working 6 days a week. It can get a bit tiring, but it's been really manageable with the Sunday seminars, and it's just the workload is very flexible. So, for example, I actually had some commitments during the summer symposium last year, but I was able to kind of watch all the seminars and individual classes during my summer break, which was great. I could do it at my own pace and I could make notes, and it was really flexible on that front. So that's a huge advantage of this program working in the way it does. I haven't got much more to say except it's just been a really positive year with this community, and wonderful different musicians and teachers coming together from all across the world. There is a real level of support amongst us all, and I know that if I have a question or a query, I can just send a WhatsApp to someone and someone will reply with exercises, ideas, and a load of inspiration that I can literally try out in the teaching room an hour later. So I would wholeheartedly recommend this program, no matter what stage of your teaching career you're at. If you've been teaching for 50 years or you're just starting out, you will honestly get so much out of this experience. If you've got any questions, if there's anything I can answer, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you. And thanks for all you've been bringing this year, which is really wonderful. Great. So where does that leave us next? Basically, register, sign up for the program. Registration's due May 1st. You can contact us with any questions via our email, and we'll get back to you with questions. I think often when we look at these things, from the front end and we look at them for the first time, they can seem a bit overwhelming. And when you start in on them, it's like, oh, it's okay, right? It's not so overwhelming when you start, but absorbing all the information at the beginning and looking at the whole course can look a little bit daunting, but it isn't once you get going. We will send out the video later today. We'll send out a PDF, sorry, of those 3 slides so that everyone can look at that really easily. And we'll send out a link to the website and the registration page as well. So thanks, everyone. Are there any questions from folks here? Just unmute and jump in.
I'd like to maybe afterwards, when it's finished, I'd like to talk to you or one of the other teachers just about
Great.
an update. Thanks.
Okay, great. No problem, Nisa. Any questions? Sarah, Andrew, Marco? No? Great. All right. It's lovely to see you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, we hope to see you. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.